Okay. Tell me you're that somebody. If I let this go, you can tell me.
Everyone, welcome to Queen Pebbles channel. This is the Pebbles Gang, and today we are doing another series on Duskwood Part 4. So make sure that you grab a snack and a drink, get cozy as we play this game together, and be sure to let me know in the comments who you think the suspect really is. For those who haven't watched this yet, make sure to go back to Part 1 to get caught up, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for me, please. All right, let's go ahead and get into this video, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this little puzzle game, and then once we do that, then we'll get back into the gameplay. So let's get it, guys. Okay, so we just finished that. We're gonna continue to speed it up until we get to the story, and then I'll go ahead and let you guys know what's going on. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna learn about the legends of Duskwood, which we left off, and we're in a group chat with Jesse and Lil Richie. It says, "Hey y'all," I said, "Hi Richie," and it says, "What's going on?" And then Jesse is saying, Shanti wants to know about Duskwood's legends. So it looks like we're going to learn about that today. And he says, "Oh my." Then it says, "Aren't you guys supposed to be working?" Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, I only like to know about the man without a face. I think we're just going to go ahead and go with the yeah, that would be great. So let's see what Jesse's going to say. It says, "Alfie may have seen something." And it looks like we have a chance to put what we want. It says, "Or he believes he saw something. He seemed pretty sure." I'm going to say he seemed pretty sure. And then it says that the man without a face dragged Hannah into the woods, which I remember them saying that in the other part. Right, Shanti? And now we have a choice to say exactly that, something like that. I'm not vouching for that. And we're going to say exactly like that because that's exactly what we were told. So, and Richie says, "Oh, wait. Okay. Shanti spoke with Alfie?" No, Cleo spoke with Alfie. Cleo was at the motel. I don't want to say Cleo's at the motel. We're going to say no, Cleo spoke with Alfie, just because I feel like that would be kind of dry snitching on her, just because she might not want nobody to know that she was at the motel. If she confided only in me and she didn't tell nobody else, I'm assuming that nobody should know that she's at the motel. So I'm just going to say that she spoke with him. Because that's not really their business to say. So, I mean, that's the only two options we have. And he says, "I'm not sure how to feel about that. Did you tell the others already?" I don't think it's none of the others' business because, like I said, it should stay between us. No, and I don't think we should. For now, it's just a vague leak, nothing concrete. Exactly. We're going to say the first one because we're just going based off of a hunch. We're not really knowing if this is actually facts. And we don't want to give the people the wrong idea. And plus, I don't trust everybody in the group to really tell them all this information. Exactly. So, Jesse says, "What can we tell Shanti about the man without a face?" I really think that I like how they're saying it's a man without a face. But in my mind, I feel like if I was a person that was reading this story, I feel like it's a man that's wearing a mask. Because no, it's not a monster. It's not nobody that literally has no face. This man has to be wearing a mask and covering up his face so nobody can see who he is, his identity. Okay, it says, "You are the horror queen here, but the difference is you are the one who grew up in Duskwood, but I don't believe in those stories and legends." And we said old legends can sometimes have some truth to it, which I agree with that because you never know what you're dealing with. I mean, you can not believe in something like that, but it could be a prehistoric type of artifacts. So, and he said, "Yeah, the part that was added to the story by a person." And she says, "Richie, it is possible to tell a story even if you don't believe in it." Exactly. Just because you don't believe in the historic events or just because you don't believe in the old legends doesn't mean that it's not true. But it's so much better than I do. It's so much better than I do, Jesse. Okay, how about you just fill in the blanks then? Great. Okay, so it said, "Go ahead then, Jesse. Let's go." We're just gonna say let's go ahead then, Jesse, because Honestly, the other ones don't make sense to me. So we're gonna hear what she has to say. It said, here we go. We have an option to hear it over the phone, but I would rather just hear it through the text. So we're just gonna not say anything and let her explain. So let's see. It says, the legend of the man without a face is as old as Duskwood itself. So Duskwood is an old town. So it's been here for a long time, apparently. He lives deep in the woods and roams the streets of Duskwood at night. So it could be a serial killer who only hunts his prey, like prey at his victims at night. Like maybe he only hunts them because maybe at night he knows he can get away with it because not everybody's out. That's the time that people are sleeping. He marks the doors of the biggest centers with the sign of the raven. And in the night of the first new moon each year, he makes his return to the marked houses. You know, it sounds like something you would say in Underworld, like a vampire who only comes out during the full moon. But a full moon has nothing to do with a vampire. That sounds like something that you would think of a werewolf. So it could be either way. But I feel like it's a human. He has taken every person in the building, man, woman, or child, guilty or not. So that means he doesn't discriminate on his victims or what age group or whatever. What exactly he does with them is not known. Isn't that true, Richie? Supposedly he takes them into the forest and they never come back. Okay, so this legendary that they're saying is crazy. Like what he does to some victims, and you never know, it could be a monster or something, because this is supposed to be like a mystery. I don't know if it's a human, but let's say if it is a creature without a face, that is going to be crazy to find out during the story. But I really think it's a person because of there's too many clues to me that just sound, I mean, maybe, you know, this little small town probably made up something legendary because they probably think it's like a creature and it's nothing that a human can do. But I think that is bullshit, because it's like, bruh, a lot of people who make up these small legendaries in small towns, bruh, for real, they just make it up because they don't want to believe that it could be one of their own people in their town who could be a monster and betray themselves as a killer. But anyway, it says the sounds are so familiar. Who comes up with something like this? And that's it. That's terrible. I feel like I would go with that's terrible. Just because I don't think none of the other stuff sound right, and I don't think it is familiar. It don't sound familiar to me. But Jesse said, yep, I agree. Richie says, well, every city has their own legends, and that's true. That's what I was just saying. Like every small town always come up with their own little legends, which I think is crazy, but you never know. And it says my hometown doesn't have anything like this. You could say that again. I normally don't care about stuff. Yeah, I would definitely say you could say that again, because you never know. Each town has their own little spooks tale, so you never know. Then she has a little emoji like oh my kind of thing. He says, great, now that we figured this out, we could talk about what's really important. Exactly. So what's the next step? How could this be related to Hannah kidnapping? That's facts. I have an idea. What do you think? I have absolutely no clue at all. I said I have an idea. The kidnapper is copying I feel like the kidnapper is copying the legend. It could be a copycat. I don't think it's anything else. I want to go with the first one because it makes more sense to me. Because it could be someone that just wants to be a copycat, considering that that's what people believe in that small town anyway. And since people really believe that, that could be a way for them to kind of copycat originally the story to make people that think that it's actually a creature or something, or a man that really doesn't have a face. That is definitely possible. Well, let's try to approach this with common sense and rational thinking. And I feel like I'm with you on that. Like, I think she's right. I think he's right. And he put a little check, a little thumbs up. She said, I'm afraid that it will have to wait. Okay. It said Mr. Palmer is walking across the parking lot right now. Okay, so that's their boss, and they're at work anyway, so it makes sense. And well, let's see. He says, I guess I would have preferred the man without a face. I will catch you later, you two. All right, then. I thought you don't believe in. We're gonna say the first one. I'll catch you later, you two, just so that they can get back to work. And we can figure out some more shit. Okay, so she's waving off, signing off. He's doing the same thing. Adios. And that's pretty much the end. So I think now we're going to have to go back to the jewel game. finished the jewel game. We got a file detected that we just sent to the hacker, which is perfect because now we can figure out more information. It says, from Cleo, I remembered something. Okay, so Cleo's going to tell us some more information that I guess we didn't know about. A story that Lily told me about Alfie some time ago. Okay, Lily is the other one that I don't trust either, but I feel like something is up with her. It doesn't have anything to do with Hannah, but I can get it out of my head. I can't get it out of my head. And we're going to say I'd love to hear it. Yeah, because any information that she give us could be definitely helpful, even if it isn't about Hannah. It could be something that can make me think about, like, maybe it has something to do with Hannah either way. I think it happened last year, sometime in the fall. One of the guests complained to Lily about a foul smell in his room. Okay, only way I would think that it's a foul smell is either it's a dead human or a dead animal. But either way, that sounds fishy. Because it's like, why was there a odor in the room? So Lily went to the room but couldn't smell anything. So she gave the guests another room and figured that would take care of the problem. Definitely not, because it's still going to be there. When she went back to the room the next day to get ready for new guests, she suddenly noticed the smell. Okay, so the smell came back. But what kind of, like, was it a human
Oh, hell no!
decay? Like a body that was decaying? Like, how did nobody know? Or was it an animal? She looked everywhere, but couldn't find the source of the odor. So she told Mrs. Walter, who then alerted the janitor, Old Gray. Okay, so maybe the janitor will find it. A few hours later, he left the room. He just gave her a nod and didn't say anything, but it was a sign that the room that the room was taken care of. But just so you know, Lily is very nosy. Okay, that's good to know, I guess. She went back into the room, and when she looked in the trash can, she saw a black trash bag in there. Okay, so if it's a black trash bag, it could be potentially a dead person, body chopped up, or an animal. And that was the source of the smell. Okay, it was Mr. Featherly, Alfie's canary. His little beak was crushed and both wings were broken. Okay, so not a natural cause of death. That is horrible. And where was he before? I'm gonna say that it's horrible because, you know, that does sound kind of crazy. Yes. Okay, so let's see. So I don't want to spread any rumors. Yeah, I wouldn't want to spread that either. Because if the way she explained it, everybody in the group probably would think that it's Hannah or it's a body. And then they would suspect that something is up with Lily. Mrs. Walter never said anything to Lily about it, even though she had to have asked Old Crazy what it caused the stench. Okay. So I wonder if Lily is like, I don't know. But I've always known Alfie as such a good kid. Thanks for telling me this, Cleo. I wish I didn't hear that. We're going to say the first one. Thanks for telling me, because she didn't really have to tell us anything. And I think that, you know, it sounds like she's slowly trusting us. The fact that she's having like a side conversation with us lets me know that she trusts us wholeheartedly versus anybody else. All right, so we're back with Dan and Lily, which I already said I think Dan is a suspect and Lily also is a suspect. But let's see what they're saying. It says, hey, hello, it's not Hannah. Okay, so he must be talking about the dead girl body that was found. It's not Hannah, but how would he know that?
You do this, you son of a bitch!
Lily said, I am sure of it. So he's very sure of it. Stay positive, honey. Okay, so is Lily and him together? Or they just, Dan, can you come over? You know, I just feel like something's fishy about them two tonight. I already felt like Dan is kind of a suspect on my suspect list. Because, you know, he's acting fishy for real. Yes, I can. And Lily is not helping. Thank you. Like, this private conversation already enough alone is crazy. And it lets me know that something is up between them two. And I don't trust it. Like, I really don't. Okay, so Jesse just texted us and it says, tell me, do you text with this hacker person? Okay, so shouldn't you be at work for now? Yes, I do. Why would you say that? Every now and then. Let's say every now and then just ask why. Because, yeah, the other ones sound kind of stupid. He is creepy. It said we can agree on that. He is different. I'm going to say, yeah, I agree on that. It is creepy because it makes me wonder, like, how does the hacker know all this information? And how was he able to give everybody my number as if I was the suspect. He made everybody think that I had something to do with Hannah being kidnapped, and I don't know how I even have any tie to her. But don't get me wrong, I don't think he's behind the kidnapping. Yeah, I don't think either. He wouldn't put himself in much danger by talking to us. That's true. Because if you are guilty, you're not going to make yourself be known and tell people information that could be tied back to you later in the future, and then it turns out that you're the suspect. But then again, I don't know, because to me, I feel like sometimes people can do that, especially if they're like the killer, the suspect, the murderer. I think that if they want to play a dangerous game and they just want to see if you could catch them because they're that good at their job, that makes them feel like, as long as I get the attention from people that like they want, it makes them want to play a game like that, like a game of tag or something. And I feel like, maybe the hacker could be, or maybe the hacker couldn't. Maybe the hacker is on our side. But I just want to know how everybody in this group is chatting with my character simultaneously. And they've been friends, and I don't even know these people. They've been friends and knowing each other for however long, and everybody in this group don't really trust each other. So I'm trying to figure out how they even came out to be. Like, if you don't trust each other, why are y'all even friends in a group? Like, y'all making y'all own private conversations about each other, and that's fake as hell. So I think that's crazy. But as far as that, I really do think that something is up with the hacker. I mean, not with the hacker. I feel like the hacker's not really a suspect. I'm still going to say that Dan and Lily definitely has to be a has to be a suspect in this, because they're really giving me the vibes of don't trust these motherfuckers. But it said, but that also helps him get a lot of information. You were probably right about that. He could be trying to lead us down the wrong path. I feel like the first one is better, because I feel like he could be crucially using that just to get information from us. But I don't know. Then again, I feel like it's somebody in the group. I recently had a similar discussion with the others. Okay. But that to me, it was about you. I already know if I were you, I wouldn't trust myself either. I would prove myself worthy. I'm gonna say the last one, because I don't want her to know that the hacker let me see her conversation privately. That's gonna blow our cover. And then what if one of the people are a suspect in the group and I'm telling them information that the hacker gave me, and then they start covering their tracks? Like, for real. Yeah, I think you will too. If the others knew that I text you this, they would be ticked off at me. Yeah, I understand, because a lot of people already think that I am not trustworthy, really, because they don't know me. In any case, I think it would be better if you don't tell him all too much. Do you think he could be someone? Do you think he could be someone in the group? I feel like he is. That's why I'm gonna ask her. I mean, she says no, but I feel like it has to be somebody, because how would he even know this information about either one of us? Like, how would he know about everybody in the group? And where did he get my number? Like, I know he's a hacker, but it's like you had to have some type of information to be able to pull all this up. But Richie believes that. I should say he is pretty sure about it. Okay. So Richie believes that someone in the group, it has to be the hacker, and I do too, because it's like it's given that this person knows each of these people personally. And then I'm trying to figure out, how did the hacker know me? Like, how did he? Because he's the one that, and mind you, he's the one that gave my number to everybody in the beginning of the group. So it makes me feel like, how the fuck did he even know where my information was? Like, did he get it from Hannah's phone? How did he know Hannah? Maybe it's a person who knows Hannah. But then again, it's like, my number was in her phone, so how would she even know me? That's what I'm saying. It's not making sense how all these people are tied to Hannah. Like, all the friends I understand in the group are friends with her, but I don't understand what the fuck I have to do with her. It said Richie's opinion does not matter to me. Why would he think that? I'm gonna say that's strange. We're on the same page though. I think that Richie has a point too. But what do you think? Is the hacker one of us? I don't know. Is he part of the group? Doesn't matter one way or the other. My answer, I think he's a part of the group, because at the end of the day, he has to know. He has to be, but he has to know all of us, because at the end of the day, it's like, how would he get all that information or know so much detail? Maybe we'll find out soon. So I'll talk to you later then. Yeah, we'll talk to her later and just continue on with the story, because I have no idea. Catch you later. All right. So now that we're done with that side conversation with her, we're going to go ahead and continue with the jewel game, you guys, and then we'll be back with the story again. All right, so it looks like there's a conversation between Thomas and Dan that's going on. It says, Dan, he says, what the hell? Where have you been? Exactly, like you disappeared, my nigga. It says, you know what doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. Nigga, you went off the face of the earth after finding out that a woman's body was missing. Like, suspicious, right? What the hell is going on with you? Right, I would like to know the same thing, like, for real. You still holding up to your end of the deal? What deal? Shit, Dan, I am serious. Oh, it sounds like something fishy's going on.
Oh shit!
Okay, so it says, yes, I am, of course. And he says, thanks. Dan says, don't make me regret this. I wonder what they're talking about. Sound like something fishy. So they just went offline. Okay, so the hacker says, what was that all about? I have actually no idea. You can't find out with your hacking skills. Whatever it was, it sounded highly suspicious. Yeah, I want to go with that third one too, because it's like, bro, what the fuck is going on with these two niggas? Like, they already was a suspect in the beginning. Now they just made the top list of suspects. It sure did. Maybe we will be able to figure out together what it means. Facts, because it's like, I already said that Dan was a suspect in the beginning. But I never would have thought that Thomas would have been a suspect to me, because it's like, bruh, that's your girlfriend. What if he had something to do? Like, what if both of them had something to do with Hannah's disappearance? I thought it was more than odd that Thomas disappeared after the news of the dead body surfaced. Right. Like, that shit is crazy, because like, I feel like if you're the boyfriend and you know that you're not guilty, then why are you running? Even if you found out that a body was placed or found, I understand if you wanted to make sure that it wasn't your girlfriend, but that's not what it seemed like he did. It's like he disappeared, like he was guilty of something. Wait, how did you find out about this? He is currently my main suspect. Maybe he was just devastated. I don't think he was devastated. I think the second one, he is currently my main suspect, because I feel like that was highly suspicious. You not only disappeared on everybody, bro, after finding out that the body was surfaced, a woman's body. Sounds like you was either a part of that or you know something more than you want to tell everybody, because no guilty person is going to run. If you have to be guilty of something, or it's maybe someone's threatening him, because you could have somebody threatening him and making him do these things because they know something secretive about him, and knowing that he could go to prison or something, and maybe he's nervous, so they probably threatened him and said, if you don't do this for me, we're going to expose you. And maybe it's something dealing with Hannah. I don't know, but I just feel like something about this is just fishy. I said he is currently my main suspect, which is true. And the hacker says, wait, something else is happening. Okay, so let's see what else is happening then. Looks like we have a message. Let's see what that's about. Okay, so it looks like there's a message between Dan and some guy named Poke. And it says, how are you doing today, Mr. Anderson? I've got your little message. And it says, Dan says, then why the hell are you texting me then? So he sounds like he's a bit paranoid. Person said, I just wanted to make sure. And it said, you are as paranoid as ever, I see. Exactly. Dan sounds like he's also suspicious of something too. How about you cut it out? Okay, calm down. You know the time and place. Okay, so they're supposed to be meeting up somewhere, of course. Okay, and then it says perfect 350. So they're talking about probably, you got it, money, I'm guessing. 350. You got it. 300. No way. So it sounds like he's trying to make like a negotiation, and it said asshole. Likewise, because he probably wanted to pay only 300 and less it instead of 350. And it said, oh, and Dan says what? I am sorry about the girl. So I'm wondering if it's talking about Hannah specifically. He said me too. Like, either they're talking about Hannah's body or they're talking about the girl's body that was placed and found on the surface. Like, what do they know about? He's talking about, I'm sorry about the girl. Like, what are you talking about? It said, what do you think of all of this that could, what all of this could mean? I really think that Dan and this Pope guy and Thomas maybe all three of them have something to do with Hannah's disappearance because it's weird, or they're doing something illegal and they just don't want to tell nobody. Because I mean, I don't know. All of them are kind of making themselves look even more suspicious, just by how they're acting. And I just feel like it shouldn't be taking all of this just because you don't want to be found guilty, or just because you feel like, oh well, you know, if you know you didn't have nothing to do with it, why are you acting even more suspicious for the group to find you guilty? Like, at the end of the day, you're running from it. That makes everybody think that you have something to do with it and you're suspicious. And I feel like at the end of the day, the three main suspects, well, I want to say four main suspects is Lily, Danny, Thomas, and fucking Danny. This, the Pope guy. Sorry, I said Danny. Pope guy. It says, what do you think of all of this? This stranger is being paid to cover the tracks. I feel like that. I feel like it's because of Thomas and Dan either kidnapped Kitten. That's all they could come up with. And for his ex. I'm going to say the last one. I think they're trying to cover up their tracks because maybe he was asking for the $350, the $350, because he couldn't afford it. Or possibly it could be because Thomas and Dan kidnapped Hannah. But I don't want to say that to the hacker because I could possibly be wrong. So I'm just going to go with the last one. Okay, so the hacker said almost. So let's see what he says or she says. To me, it sounded like Dan was purchasing something on behalf of Dan. Something illegal. Yeah, so if it is illegal, it's something that probably could incriminate them, and that's probably why they're being highly suspicious. So maybe it doesn't have anything to do with Hannah. Dan was bending over backwards to make sure that the object in question was not mentioned by name. So maybe, or if it's an object, maybe it's an object that has something to do with Hannah's disappearance that they're using or a murder weapon. We have to get to the bottom of this, which I feel like we should say. But does that really have something to do with Hannah? I have always known that Dan was, the first one. We have to get to the bottom of it because I really want to know what's going on too. The hacker said, I know. Let me think. Okay, so that's facts because, we really don't know what's going on. But everybody is sounding like they have something to do with something. I'm going to get the stranger's phone number. That's the perfect idea. I'm going to talk to him, but I can't promise anything. Good idea. I will contact him and take care of him. I feel like it's a good idea, and we'll contact him and take care of it. I feel like the second option for a reason because you never know. We could get some type of clue, information from him. Maybe find out something that, nobody else knows. That's the right attitude. Okay, so cool. We are getting very close with the hacker, it sounds like. Give me a little time to find out the number. Okay, perfect. So we're going to see. Let's go ahead and continue. I guess we're gonna have to finish the jewel game. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that, and then we'll be back, you guys. Okay, so now that we just got done with the jewel game, it says the hacker, so I was able to reconnect part of the picture. So it looks like a document where it says SSRI. I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's showing something that was purchased, and it says user and the amount that says 2 on it. So let's see what the hacker says. It said, I think we should take a closer look at that. Yeah, I agree. Why should we do that? I found it and decrypted it. We're going to say the third one because I kind of want to know more about it. Maybe we could kind of finesse it. I found it and you decrypted it. I made it legible. Please, I bet that wasn't hard. Very well. We're going to say very well because I don't want to sound kind of rude and then lose the chances of gaining even more trust with the hacker. I want to get as much information as possible. So it's very crucial that we act normal. We will look into it together. My first question is, okay, why did she do that? What do you mean by that? How should I know? I'm gonna say I have an idea why, just so we could kind of see what answers we can come up with. And it said, for real, she wanted to show it to someone to save it. Never mind, the idea is gone. I'm gonna say the first one, she wanted to show it to someone. Maybe she did. It could probably be crucial So let's go with that one because I feel like that possibly could be the truth. The other ones I don't really agree with. So let's see what he says or she says. Okay, so the hacker says, I get it. I think the next thing we should do is find out what drug was prescribed with the prescription. Okay, so it was a drug. SSRI is a drug. Okay, I was wondering what it does. That tell you anything? No, I never heard of it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna say I never heard of it because we never heard of no medicine called SSRI, but I want to try to guess it if it gives us that option. So it's the hacker said, I think we should get some help from the almighty internet. I'll find it before you. Good idea. Let's do that. Let's say good idea. Let's do it because we probably could find it if we research it. So let's see what the hackers say. Great. One of us is going to find out what we are dealing with here. I'm going to say that hopefully it gives us more options. So let's see what else we can do. Just so that way we can try to come up with an idea. So it said, great, one of us is going to find out, and I could say, I found out what it is. That's what I'm going to say. I found out what it is, so we could just act like we just researched it. Okay, so it's a simple pain medicine. No, it's for birth control. It's an antidepressant. We're going to say that because honestly, okay, so he said, let me double check real quick. I feel like it's anti because first off, I don't think it's a pain medication. That don't make sense to me. I feel like the logic answer for that has to be antidepressant because we never know. Maybe, you know, up to where it led her to her, kidnapping. I feel like maybe, she was depressed and nobody knew about it. Okay, so it says that's correct. Was Hannah suffer from depression? I feel like I want to know that because it's possible that she could have before her kidnapping. Okay, so the hacker doesn't know. And then he said no or she said no. None of this makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't because I'm trying to figure out like what was the like antidepressant and everybody knows is a depression pill. She had to be depressed because you're not going to just be taking that just to be taking that. I am going to contact you again later, okay? And we just said, okay, talk to you later. All right, everybody. So we're just going to leave it here. I will continue on with the next part in part 5, just because the fact that we already have enough clues to kind of give us a hint that there has to be at least 4 people in this. I feel like, you know, Lily is a suspect because, you know, the little side conversation that she had with Dan makes me already think that maybe they're messing around and maybe she could potentially have something to do with it because she could have been jealous of Hannah. That's one of my thoughts or theories. I feel like Dan, I feel like Thomas, her boyfriend, has something to do with it. And this guy named Pope, because the things that they said that they were doing secretly by saying, did you take care of this? I'm seriously like Thomas asking Dan to do whatever for him had to be illegal. And then I feel like Pope probably is getting rid of the body. I don't know if they're paying him at least $300 or $350. And I feel like for that kind of money, you have to be doing something really crazy. And then at the end, mind you, it says something about, I'm sorry about the girl. So that kind of threw me off. But besides from that, guys, we're just going to go ahead and end this episode. I thank you for staying tuned to this episode. I'll see you in the next part. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And all right, guys, peace out.
Cause I really need somebody. Tell me you're that somebody. If I